Welcome back to In Ohio Country Today, and joining me now is Craig Rupp from Sabanto Ag, and he's the special guest speaker here at Farmers Alliance for their informational seminar, if you will. Craig, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back in this neck of the woods. As I was driving here, there is literally no difference between this place and where I grew up in Northwest Iowa.
Let's talk about that. You're from Iowa. That's great corn country, as everybody knows. Let's talk about your time growing up on the farm.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Northwest Iowa called Cherokee, Iowa. It's about a population. It's about 5,000 people right now. But my father raised corn and soybeans and raised hogs and cattle.
Nice. You still farm?
No, but my brother does. I always say I was the spare, not the heir. But no, my brother still farms, and I help out as much as I possibly can with him.
Well, Craig, let's talk a little bit about Sabanto.
Yeah, I founded the company in 2018, and my intent was every farmer that I worked with in the company I founded before, and I was working at the Climate Corporation, and I was working with farmers, and they were just telling me how bad labor is. And when I left the Climate Corporation, I just thought to myself, someone's going to take autonomy into agriculture. And I had a farming background, and I was an electrical engineer and wrote a lot of software and created a lot of hardware. And I decided that I think I can pull this off. And so what I did was I went and leased a JCB 4220 tractor, and I bought an 18-row, 20-inch planter with the intent is the spring of 2019, I'm going to get a CDL, and I'm going to write the software and create the hardware and go out there and try to autonomously plant just to see what it was like and whether, what are some of the challenges associated with that. And it was a very learning experience back in 2019. The software was, it worked, but it was nowhere near prime time. And the hardware, I basically, put it together and went out and I autonomously planted in Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, Illinois, and Indiana.
Wow. So a lot of diversity in some of the areas that you went into. What did you learn from that diverse agronomy, if you will, in that whole process?
I learned a lot. It was a no-till planter. And, this 80-year-old gentleman in Nebraska summed it up pretty good. He said, you get in your car, you drive 100 miles, and it's totally different agriculture practices. And that's one thing I learned. What they were doing in Iowa was completely different than Nebraska, completely different than Minnesota, Illinois, and Indiana as well.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It absolutely is. Yeah. And a lot of farmers, I guess their practices just differed so much that it was a very learning experience for me.
So how do you customize as CEO and engineer and mechanic and all the different hats that you wear in that whole process? How are you able to find something that can work for everyone in all those diverse conditions?
Well, first and foremost, when I started the company, I had some principles or tenets, and one of them was I think agriculture or autonomy in agriculture is going to be part of an add-on to existing equipment. If you look at the tractor, it's really the Swiss Army knife of agriculture. It's got incredible hydraulics, horsepower, traction, four-wheel drive, PTO, three-point hitch. It's just a very versatile tool, and that was really. I think that's to answer your question. I think that is what is going to be how autonomy is going to be, I guess, proliferated through agriculture is with it's an add-on to an existing tractor.
The technology is so needed because of all the things that you previously spoke about, is the fact that it's more difficult than ever to try to find people to work on the farm, and let alone try to find people who have worked on the farm and have that kind of experience. But now you're looking for a whole nother person to be able to operate this. It could be the owner, but it also has to be somebody who has a little bit of tech savvy to them. It can't be just somebody who runs a Game Boy at home, right?
That is true.
I just dated myself by saying Game Boy, by the way.
That is true, but I talked to a lot of like investors on the West Coast and East Coast, and guys who have never set foot on a farm, and there's this mindset that you get into agriculture, they're for lack of a better term, they're technically illiterate, and that is so far from the truth. I think farmers are well above average when it comes to technical competence. If you look at the auto steer, the systems on tractors today, there's they're well above average. Excuse me, in their technical capabilities. They absolutely are.
So let's talk about your presentation here tonight. You're coming from Iowa, talking to these Ohio farmers here at My Farmers Alliance, and what do you hope to impose upon them more than just a sales opportunity for you, but to maybe educate them a little bit about how unique operation that you have in Sabanto?
Yeah, so I'm kind of an enigma. I have an odd background. I grew up on a farm. And when I left the farm, I thought, I will never set foot again on a farm. And I became an electrical engineer.
Every farmer says that, by the way.
Became an electrical engineer, and I spent the majority of my career in the cellular industry. But I was peppered throughout my career getting pulled back into agriculture. The old saying, you can take the boy out of the farm, but you can't take the farm out of the boy. That's right. I'm living proof of that. I ran away from it and got pulled back, did a stint at John Deere. I also worked for CNH, contracted for them a number of times, and kept getting pulled back into agriculture. And the one thing I did find out is having an agriculture background, even if you're not directly involved in agriculture, can take you into quite a lot of places. Yeah, when I swear to God, when I got a job at John Deere, it was because they asked me in the interview, "Have you ever driven a tractor?" And I responded. I said, "Well, okay, for starters, there's a 40/20 out there down to the paint because me riding on the fender, and the first tractor I ever drove was a John Deere 40/20." And so, yes, I know how to drive a tractor. But to answer your question, tonight's presentation, I want everyone to go home and think really hard about what autonomy is going to do for them and what the future lies. And I think there's going to be some thought-provoking statements, and I hope that they walk away thinking long and hard about where their industry is going to go when autonomy is mainstream.
I have to tell you, it was one of the best interviews that we did this year at Farm Science Review, just having that operate in the background while we were interviewing one of the sales reps here in the Buckeye State. Yeah. And it was just amazing how precise it was. We took the time to be able to take a look at his iPad at the time, or his phone, and you could just see how precise it was and how he mapped the field and how it stayed within those parameters.
Yeah, that was Ag Infotech. They're a dealer here in Ohio, and we're working very closely with Scott Shearer there at Ohio State, who, shout out to Scott, he is something else. You guys have a diamond in this state with him.
Well, there's a good connection between Ohio State Extension, places like Central State University, along with our other commodities, whether it's the Ohio Soybean Council, the Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers, where everybody works together here in the Buckeye State, and they share that information, that technology. And you bringing that to us today and to the producers here in the Buckeye State is going to be a positive in moving that whole project forward when it comes to autonomous vehicles, right?
Absolutely. I don't think anyone realizes this, but, you've heard the 6 degrees of separation in agriculture. It's about 2 to 3. You can get to pretty much anyone in the United States in agriculture. If with just 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, so for more information about Sabanto and what you have to offer, what's your website and where can people go to get more info?
Yeah. You can go to our website, sabantoag.com, SABANTOAG.com, or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and also LinkedIn.
And I'm sure you'll have much more information to share with the producers as you move forward, along with videos and everything like that. It's a pretty interesting vehicle and a pretty interesting company, to say the least.
Absolutely. And we're out there trying to disrupt agriculture and try to change the landscape.
Craig Rupp has been our guest here at Farmers Alliance, CEO from Sabanto. Craig, once again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back with more In Ohio Country Today right after this.